Have you ever stood up from a chair? Felt like your legs were just not there for you anymore? No pain, no injury, just weakness. As if the strength you used to have had quietly slipped away when you weren't paying attention. Most people think it's just aging. This is what getting old feels like. But what if it's not? What if the weakness in your legs isn't a natural part of aging at all, but something else? Something quieter, more subtle, more preventable. I remember my grandfather's legs. He used to walk everywhere. Strong strides, steady balance, even into his 70s. But one day, out of nowhere, he stood up from bed and nearly fell. No fall, no accident, just legs that suddenly felt like they weren't his anymore. From that day forward, he told himself, "This is it. I'm old now. My legs are failing me." And slowly, he started doing less, moving less. He began needing support just to get out of a chair. His body adjusted to that belief until it became his truth. Does that sound familiar? It's a little voice inside that says it's normal. I'm just getting old. It happens to everyone. So you start accepting things. Climbing stairs gets harder? Must be age. You trip. More often, probably just old bones. You walk slower, sit longer, avoid carrying groceries. All because, well, you're not young anymore. But then, how do we explain the 85-year-old woman jogging in the park? The man in his 90s who still hikes trails on the weekends? No, age alone doesn't take your legs away from you, but there's something else that might, and it starts in the quiet moments, in the choices we make without even thinking. Let me tell you about Helen. She retired at 65 after nearly 4 decades as a school teacher. Every day, she walked to work, stood on her feet for hours, moved from room to room with ease. But after just 1 year of retirement, she noticed something had changed. She couldn't walk for more than 10 minutes without needing to rest. Going to the store became a task. Climbing stairs felt like a mountain. She began holding on to the railing, afraid of falling. Her family said, "It's okay, Mom. You're just getting older." Friends agreed. Same here. My legs aren't what they used to be either. Helen believed them. Until her doctor ran a few tests and said something that changed her life. "You're not sick. You're not injured. You're just losing muscle. Quietly, slowly, because you stopped using it." There's a word for that, sarcopenia. It means loss of muscle mass due to aging, but it's not just about age. It's about inactivity. Your body is smart. If you stop asking it to be strong, it stops staying strong. If you sit more than you stand. If you move less, stretch less, carry less, your muscles respond by fading. Not because you're old, but because your body believes you no longer need them. It's like a house no one lives in anymore. The lights dim. The dust settles. The walls crack. That's what happened to Helen, not because she turned 65, but because the life she stepped into after retirement asked less from her legs, and they listened. But when she found out the real reason for her weakness, something inside her shifted. She started walking again, just small laps around the house, then down the street, then around the block. She used a chair to do squats, stood up from the couch without using her hands. At first it was hard. Her legs trembled, her knees complained. But she kept going, and within weeks, they began to remember not who she used to be, but who she could still become. Maybe you're thinking, "That's inspiring, but I'm not like Helen. I'm already too weak, too far gone." But listen closely. Your legs are not asking you to run. They're just asking you to believe that strength is still possible and to start proving it to them little by little every single day, you see. Our legs were the very first part of us that knew freedom. Remember that? Your first step as a child? It was a celebration. Everyone clapped, cheered. You smiled wide, proud of your tiny victory over gravity. And somehow, somewhere along the way, we forgot how proud our legs made us feel. We began treating them like burdens, not blessings. Until one day, they stopped trying to carry us at all, not out of failure, but out of silence. So many of us quietly accept the loss of strength, not because it's inevitable, but because no one ever told us there might be another way. Today I'm here to tell you, your legs are not weak because you're old. They're weak because they miss being part of your life. And it's not too late to invite them back. In the next part, we'll dive deeper into the hidden reasons your legs might be weakening and how small shifts, even at any age, can make a big difference. You'll meet stories of people who rebuilt their strength, not in their 20s, but in their 60s, 70s, even 90s. Because it's not the number of candles on your cake. It's the number of steps you still believe in. Let's talk about that. Some people think weakness begins with age, but in truth, it often begins with a whisper. A quiet decision not to take the stairs today. A sigh of relief when someone offers you a seat. A growing hesitation to walk far because what if you stumble? We call it being careful. We call it being realistic. But sometimes it's just fear. Wearing the mask of logic, let me tell you about Arthur. He was 72, lived alone in a quiet suburb. Every morning he used to take his coffee out to the front porch just to feel the sun on his face. But one winter, he slipped on an icy step. He wasn't seriously hurt, just a bruise and a scare. But after that day, something changed. He stopped going outside, told himself it was for safety. But weeks passed, then months. Soon the porch grew dusty. His legs stiffened, his balance faded, not from the fall, but from the fear of falling again. That fear, it eats away at the strength you still have. There's something people don't talk. It's about enough. The emotional side of weakness. It's not just about muscles, it's about trust. Do you trust your legs to hold you? Do you trust your body to rise when you ask it to? If that trust is broken, even just once, the relationship shifts. Arthur began walking with a cane, then a walker. And even though his doctors said he was fine, he no longer believed in his own body. It became a prison, a silent one. Now I want to be clear. There is no shame in needing help. Mobility aids are tools of empowerment, not defeat. But there's a difference between choosing support and surrendering to fear, and fear, when it settles in your bones, can be far heavier than age. Think back for a moment. Was there a time when you stopped doing something? And not because you couldn't, but because you were afraid you might not? That's where strength begins to slip. Not from the legs, but from the mind. Helen. The woman I mentioned earlier had a turning point, not in the gym, not at physical therapy, but in her own kitchen. One morning, she dropped a glass. It shattered. She bent down to pick it up slowly, carefully, and as she stood up, something clicked, not in her back. In her memory, she remembered how, just a few years ago, she would have done that in one smooth motion. No groan, no hesitation, no fear, and that memory didn't make her sad. It made her angry. Not at herself, but at the lie she'd started to believe that she was broken, that this was just part of aging, that nothing could be done that morning. With sunlight pouring through the window and glass crunching under her shoes, Helen decided something. If I'm going to grow old, she said, I'm going to do it on my own feet. So she made a list, not of exercises, not of diets, but of small things she had stopped doing and vowed to try again. Sitting on the floor and getting back up, balancing on one foot while brushing her teeth, walking to the end of the driveway and back. Every time she tried one, it was hard. But every time she finished one, she felt something stir in her, something like defiance. Something like, you don't get to write me off just yet. We live in a world that quietly teaches older adults to step aside, to slow down, to be fragile. To stop reaching too high, walking too far, or hoping too much. But here's the truth they don't tell you. Your legs don't age out of usefulness. They respond to purpose. Use them, and they remember. Neglect them, and they fade. Arthur never made it back to the porch. He passed away quietly, months later. His body gave out. But it had long stopped trying. But Helen, she's now 69. She goes dancing once a week, not because she's trying to be young again, but because she realized movement isn't about youth. It's about life, and life, no matter what age you are, still deserves to be felt with your feet. So ask yourself this, gently. When did you stop trusting your legs? Was it a fall? Was it a comment someone made? Was it your own voice, whispering doubts in the dark? Whatever it was, you're allowed to question it now. You're allowed to say, maybe that wasn't the truth. Because weakness isn't just about what your body can't do. It's about what your heart stopped believing it could. In the final part of this story, I'll take you into the healing, the hope that no one talks about. We'll look at how to start again, even if you're starting small, even if you're scared, even if you've already convinced yourself it's too late. Spoiler, it's never too late. Not to walk a little farther, to stand a little taller, not to remember what your legs once meant to you and what they still can. So here we are. You've walked with me through the quiet fears, through the stories of Helen, of Arthur, of the moments that whisper, maybe you're too old for this. But now I want to walk with you towards something else, not fear, not weakness, but healing. Let me tell you something that no one told me. Maybe no one ever told you. You are allowed to begin again, no matter your age, no matter how long it's been, no matter how much strength you think you've lost. The truth is, healing doesn't care how old you are. It only cares if you're willing to listen to your body, to your breath, to the small voice inside you that still wants to try. So many people believe they need motivation to start. They wait for it like rain. But healing rarely begins with motivation. It begins with choice. A choice to stand up, even when it's hard. A choice to move your legs, even when they shake. A choice to believe, even just a little, that you are not done yet. You see, the body remembers. Walk you took, every hill you climbed, every time you danced in the kitchen just because the radio played your song, even if it's been years, even if your legs feel like strangers now. The body doesn't forget, it waits. And the beautiful thing is, the moment you begin again, even with something small, the body starts to whisper back, I'm still here. I still know how. Try together. Maybe it's just standing up from a low chair once a day. Maybe it's walking from your front door to the mailbox and back. Maybe it's lifting your heels while you brush your teeth. Just to remind your calves they still exist. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be fast. It just has to be yours. A promise whispered between you and your legs. Let's not give up on each other yet. And maybe you carry sadness about how far things have slipped. Maybe you think, if only I had known sooner. If only I hadn't stopped moving. If only I had tried harder. But healing doesn't speak the language of shame. It speaks the language of now. You are not too late. You are right on time for the chapter you're meant to begin. Want to take you back, just for a moment, to a memory? The first time you ran, maybe you were a child, maybe you tripped, maybe someone laughed, but you got up, you ran again. Not because it was easy, but because your spirit hadn't yet learned to fear falling. That spirit is the one that ran without hesitation. It's still inside you. Maybe quieter, maybe tired, but still there. And that child inside you. They don't need you to run now. They just want to know you haven't stopped believing in them. There's one more story I want to leave you with. It's not about a miracle. It's not about someone climbing a mountain or running a marathon at 9:5. It's about a woman named June. She was 83 when she started walking again. Not for exercise, not for goals, but because she wanted to walk to her garden every morning. Just that. She started with 10 steps, then 20, then a full loop around her yard, holding a cane in one hand and a coffee cup in the other. Someone once asked her, "Aren't you afraid you'll fall?" And she smiled and said, "Maybe, but I'm more afraid of never feeling the dirt beneath my feet again." So here's my invitation to you. Don't wait until someone tells you it's safe. Don't wait until you feel ready. Just begin. However, you can wherever you are, even if it's one step, even if it's just standing still a little longer. Because that one step, it's not small. It's a rebellion against everything that told you to sit down and give up. Let your legs remember what they were made for, not just movement, but meaning. Let them carry you toward moments you thought were gone. Let them bring you back to parts of yourself you thought had vanished with time. And when doubt returns, as it always does, tell it gently. I may be aging, but I'm still alive. And where there is life, there is strength. this message touched something in you, share it with a friend, with a sibling, with someone who's quietly wondering if it's too late for them too. Because maybe, just maybe, your story will help someone else take that first step. And remember this, always, your legs are not leaving you. They're waiting for your signal, for your trust, for your belief. They are not weak because of age. They're just waiting to be chosen again. So choose them today. And one day you'll look back and realize that first trembling step was the bravest thing you ever did. Fade to black. Gentle music. A pause. Then one final line. You don't have to run to be strong. You just have to stand for yourself one more time.